Hey, welcome back to Sketchbook Biology. This week we're talking about the tentacled snake, Erpeton tenticulatum. This very special danger noodle is an aquatic colubrid snake that's found in Southeast Asia, countries like Vietnam, Thailand, and Cambodia. They make their home in murky, slow-moving, or standing water with some vegetation growing at or below the waterline. So, lakes, rice paddies, ditches, or streams. These snakes don't get very big, with an average adult size of 50 to 75 centimeters. Their small head and torso are flattened, making them look kind of like a ribbon. And they have two beady little eyes that provide excellent vision. They also have two short tentacles, each about 13 to 19 millimeters long, that jut out from its snout like strange little whiskers, giving the species its name. And it is the only species of snake to even have tentacles. Their scales are textured and keeled, which means that each scale has a raised ridge running down the center. Its colors vary from dark brown to pale gray or tan. Darker snakes often show faint tan or yellow stripes along the belly, while lighter ones wear irregular bars of reddish-brown or black across the back. Now, this very specific coloring and body shape helps the snake look very much like a soggy little branch or a piece of driftwood. Sometimes they'll even have some algae growing on them. This of course helps it to both capture its prey and avoid becoming someone else's meal. These snakes are also diurnal and fully aquatic, spending their entire lives in water. But that's not to say they can breathe in it. They still have to come up for air, but they can stay submerged for up to 30 minutes with the help of specialized nostrils that can close shut with valves. They very rarely come out of the water because, well, they're very bad at doing pretty much anything on land. So much so that when the dry season comes around, they bury themselves in the mud and wait patiently for the monsoon rains to start over again. Tentacled snakes are sometimes called fishing snakes because they primarily feed on small fish, and they have these tentacles which we thought were used to lure fish, like the tongue appendages of snapping turtles. Now, this is not a bad hypothesis at all, but after a very thorough examination of these structures by scientists Kenneth Catania, Duncan Leach, and I believe Isabelle Gauthier, we now know the exact function of these tentacles. They looked into how the tentacles connect to nerves, how the snake's brain responds to touch and sight, and how these snakes hunt with and without vision. The results of their experiments showed that the tentacles are packed with nerves and are extremely sensitive to even the smallest movements in water. Like very, very small movements. These tentacles could even detect a change in pressure that corresponded to only 0.008 grams. These tentacles act like antennae that sense ripples in water, letting the snake feel where its prey is even without seeing it. This ability helps the snake hunt in murky water or low light. I mean, it could probably also definitely hunt in complete darkness using only its tentacles. And the way these little snakes catch fish is magnificent. Not only do they have incredible senses, they also exploit the behavior of their prey. Okay, some background information. So fish and some amphibians have a well-known and well-studied escape reflex known as C-start. This reflex occurs in two stages, with the help of a fairly simple neuronal circuit. First, when a fish senses danger, near instantaneously the fish will whip its head to one side and bend its body into a C shape, locking in the trajectory for escape. Then, in a few thousandths of a second later, the fish's neural circuitry massively excites the muscles on one side of the trunk while inhibiting the muscles on the other, shooting the fish off in the opposite direction of the perceived threat, hopefully. This response is very, very efficient, and all this can take place in only about 5 to 6 milliseconds, and in most cases, this escape reflex works like a charm. An encounter with a tentacled snake, however, is not one of those cases. When hunting or fishing, the tentacled snake assumes and remains motionless in a J-shaped posture, with their head forming the tip of the J. And because these snakes look so much like a piece of wood or part of a plant, fish will unknowingly swim right by them. But this snake doesn't strike until the fish have moved to a very specific location. Tentacled snakes prefer to strike at fish when they have entered the concave inner region of their J-shaped death trap. And once an unfortunate meal has wandered into this predicament, this cunning little snake will twitch a small section of their trunk further down their body. And this little disturbance sets off the fish's alarms, and it initiates the tried and true sea start and turns to swim away from the disturbance, just as the snake wanted. The snake knew exactly what it was doing. It had predicted the fish's response and had already started an explosive open-mouthed lunge towards the fish that was now incapable of changing directions and was very much doomed. I cannot express to you how cool I think this snake is and how thankful I am not to be a prey animal. At least to this snake. And that is where we will leave this incredible tentacled snake. A special thank you to all the scientists, grad students, undergrads, technicians, and anyone else that waded in waterlogged waterways to find, research, and publish their tentacled snake research. And of course, thank you for being here and listening. If today is your birthday, I wish you never have to meet the pointy end of a snake. Fun fact, there's 2. And if your day is looking a little too murky and stagnant, I hope you encounter a stream of opportunities. But if you're just out there, massively exciting your muscles, please like and subscribe. I'll see you again soon. Peace.